Chris Wilson, who doesn't say much, but when he does, he leaves you in awe. Please
Thank
share
you.
your story.
So I grew up in this city around the time when Washington, D.C. was the murder capital. And I used to sleep on the floor at night. And I had a bed, but there was so much gun violence in my neighborhood, my mom wasn't taking any chances. So I remember one night, I curled up on the floor in a blanket, and I read this story, Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And in this story, imagine people like how you're sitting are chained up 24/7. And for entertainment, they look at the shadows that's cast on the wall. These are trees and, all kinds of stuff like that, and they laugh, and that's what they do. People bring them food, but they never leave. But one prisoner feels like there's much more to life and wants to escape, so he stops eating. Food comes through, I don't want it. 2 weeks later, he's lost some weight, he slips out of his chains. He creeps past his friends, up to the cave, to the entrance, and the sunlight hits his eyes, and it's so bright that he says, that can't be the right way. He looks back at his friends, he says, you know what? I gotta brace this pain to get out of here. So he braces the pain, he gets outside of the cave, the air's fresh. He's hearing birds, and as his eyes adjust, he's looking at colors and people playing and birds and mountain ranges. And he's just taking it all in. He's just like, he's become enlightened. He's like, I get it. But then a guard spots him and says, what the hell are you doing out of your cave? And he says, don't put me back down there. Like, I understand I can behave out here. He says, you have to go back down in the cave because that's where you people belong, down there in the cave, not out here with us. So they lock him back up and they put him in this cave, and his friends mock and tease him for trying to be different, for trying to buck the system. And one prisoner says, anybody else tries to break out of this cave, we're going to kill you. And this made me think about my neighborhood and my community. And at the time, we had a homicide rate of almost 500. And my family would just say, don't worry about it, Chris, just go to school. Then my brother was shot 7 times. Then my cousin was shot 17 times in his face. They said, don't worry about it, just go to school. Few months later, I was knocked unconscious by a police officer. And when I awoke, he was raping my mom. Then he took his service weapon out and he bashed her skull in. She lived, but she was never the same. I was never the same. Brothers in my community would say, don't worry about it, Chris, all we got is us. But these same people came after me one night, and I ended up taking a person's life. And while awaiting trial, people came to my father's house. They cut my father's throat. They tortured my brothers. And to make matters worse, I was sentenced to natural life in prison at the age of 17, and it was as if I was teleported to another planet. Strip searches every day. No visits from my family. No privacy. But, out in the day room, a guy told me, Chris, all we got is us. We got to stick together. And it made me think, I said, I got life. You got 3 years in on 5. So I went to my cell and I wrote up a master plan, not an escape plan. And on this plan, it was to turn my life around, get my high school diploma, college degree, start a business, write a book. I wanted a drop-top black Corvette. I wanted to learn Spanish, all these crazy things, and I wrote on this master plan and I sent it to my judge. And every day, all I did was study, go to therapy, and exercise. Prison officials would tell me, life means life. Your place is in here, Chris, not out there. I read hundreds of books. I got my high school diploma. I got my college degree. I taught myself 4 languages. I started language clubs, career centers. I became a mentor. Eventually, I had my day in court before the judge, and she told me, you know what, I'm gonna give you a second chance, but you can't get out there and just be a regular person. You gotta finish your master plan. You wanna start this company, you wanna do this, you better do it, and I'm gonna be watching you. I finally get home after serving 16 years in prison. I'm with my friends, and my mom calls me, and I have her on speakerphone, and she's like, I can't believe you got out. Like, how'd you go? Did you break out? It's like, no, I'm home, I've been working this plan. She says, I just wanna tell you I love you. I just want to tell you I love you, Chris. And I was like, all right, Mom, like, relax. And when she hung the phone up, she committed suicide. So my mom never got a chance to even see me as a free man. And so if my mom was out in the audience, I would say to my mom, I've only been home 3 years. I'm a student at University of Baltimore with a full scholarship. I am the owner of 3 companies: construction company, antique restoration company, software company. I employ people from disadvantaged neighborhoods. I'm also a director for the Community Workforce Development Program for Greater Homewood, and I'm on a mission to go back into my communities to lead my brothers and sisters out of the figurative cave. I would say to my mom not too long ago, I hope the guy that was just like me, that was dealt a bad hand, this guy who struggled to feed his children, a guy who cried and I hugged him and told him that I got his back, that I'm gonna help him out. I would say, Mom, today this guy is feeding his children, and this is who you raised me to be. Thank you.
Wow. I told you, wow.